the veterans here in the audience. We served shoulder to shoulder, shana bashana, with them for nearly 2 decades. As we approach a critical juncture with the upcoming presidential elections, the choices we make will shape not just the future of America, but also the fate of Afghanistan. The current situation in Afghanistan, the humanitarian catastrophe, the resurgence of terrorism, and the exploitation of Afghan resources by regional powers and America's adversaries demands decisive leadership. It requires a strong partnership between the US and the Afghan people, 2 nations, one that can reverse the failures of the past and restore stability. Let us remember tonight that our shared security, values, and the quest for freedom and peace depend on the leadership we choose. Now, I would like all of you to please stand united as we pay respect to the national anthems of Afghanistan as well as the United States. Now the exciting part of the event. Now we have, tonight we have so many great speakers, keynote speakers. Our first speaker is Miss Katherine Gorka. Katherine Gorka is the chair of the Fairfax County GOP and the co-author of the recent book, Next Generation Marxism. what it is and how to combat it. She has served in the Department of Homeland Security and worked on national security issues during the Trump administration, former administration. She has also been an advocate for empowering parents to reclaim control of their children's education. Ms. Gorka.
Thank you, first of all, for welcoming me here. I feel so honored to be amongst you. So the other day, I had lunch with a friend. He's a Kurdish businessman, and he came here 10, 20 years ago, and he said when he came, of course, he joined the Democrat Party, because that's what you do when you come to this country. We all know the Democrat Party is the party of immigrants, so he believed that was the right thing to do. But he has two beautiful daughters, and one day he heard that his daughters were going to be given a survey in school. So he decided to check it out before he let them take the survey. And he was utterly shocked by the questions in this survey. These were young girls being asked very, very personal questions about their family life, what was going on in the home, about their sexuality, about drugs. He was so offended. He did two things. He took his kids out of the school and he became a Republican. But I think for me what makes the story particularly poignant is not only did he himself recognize that the Democrat Party, the values that they espouse are not his values. His values are aligned with the Republican Party. But what I so appreciate about this particular friend, and this is why I tell you this story, is that not only did he join the Republican Party, but he asked me to have lunch with him and a friend of his from Turkey, who is still a Democrat, because he wanted this friend to understand why he needed to join the Republican Party. So I tell you this because I know some of you, first of all, I think that everybody here is already fully supportive of President Trump, and I'm so appreciative of that. But you're not the ones that we need to speak to. I want you to understand this story because it's so important to talk to the people that you know in your communities. The Democrat Party has a lock on the mainstream media. We know the kinds of lies that they are telling. We know the kind of radical agenda that they are hiding. And so it's up to each one of you to talk to the people in your communities and to explain to them why the Democratic Party is not going to serve their interests. So that's my pep talk. Now I just want to say very quickly a few words about the Republican Party of Fairfax County, because we are working so hard to win it back for Republicans. For those of you who live here, you may know that Republicans typically only win about 30%, but I think that's changing. I think we're going to see a very different number for Donald Trump this time around. He only won about 28%, theoretically, in the last election. I think he's going to do much, much better this time. We would just love to have you be a part of our effort. So you have to understand the way it works here is the county is huge, and we really count on all of our volunteers to reach our neighbors. So I've got quite a few people here tonight actually who are really active in the Republican Party, and some of them are your neighbors, so I'm going to ask them to stand up. So Gil, if I could ask you to stand up. He lives just down the road. And then I've got Mary Bell Reese. Here, and she said she's walked past this house, but she never knocked on the door because she didn't know that Republicans lived here. So I'm so happy that now she knows you all, and you all know her. And I also want to introduce Bart. I lost track of him. Where is Bart?
Bart had to leave.
Oh, okay. So Bart Marquardt, who many of you met earlier, he is one of our district chairs, used to work for the State Department, and also just a great person. And I also have to acknowledge Mike Albin, who's here. So I just want you to know that Mike has knocked on over 2,000 doors for President Trump.
Yeah.
So it's an incredible. So I just tell you all this, there are so many ways for you to get involved to help us win back. What I have learned about politics, you can have the best politician in the world, and I happen to think President Trump is one of those great, great politicians. But even with the best politician, if you don't have active members of the party at the community level, you still cannot win, because the other side will cheat, and they will steal, and they will do everything they can to hold on to power. But I have learned in the short 6 months that I've been doing this, that it is incredible what individuals can do when they get involved. So I ask you all to just think about how you might get involved, and think about anything you can do in the coming days to make sure that the people in your circle are voting, and voting the right way. Thank you.
Such a wonderful and powerful speech. Thank you so much. Please give her another hand. By the way, the story that you mentioned, it also resonates a lot with my family, as well as so many other African Americans families that I know. Our next keynote speaker is Dr. Walid Phares. Dr. Walid is a distinguished foreign policy expert, having served as President Trump's foreign policy advisor during the 2016 campaign, and as an advisor to Congress on Middle East issues. His expertise spans counterterrorism and the strategic importance of Afghanistan, making him a vital voice in understanding the region's impact on U.S. security. Dr. Walid.
Thank you so much. I am honored tonight, to be in the presence of the Afghan American community. This is a big achievement. To see you here, our hearts grows bigger, because we were and continue to be partners. We spent 2 decades, blood American and Afghani, fighting together against terrorism. I feel very good about tonight, and I'm so happy that your guests are so representing of this symbiosis between Americans and Afghans. I would like to thank the leadership of this community, General Sami, everybody involved in the organization. I would like even to thank the cook, the Afghan cook who flew from London. Is that true?
Yes, yeah.
That's the best part of it. I would like to send greetings to someone who's not with us, but the Congressman and many on the team have been working with him for weeks and weeks. The special representative of former President Trump to the Arab, Middle Eastern, and Muslim communities in America, and who has been engineering this outreach to these communities. And all of us have been working with him. He wanted to come, he wasn't able to do so. Other leaders are with us to represent him. He's in Michigan, where the battlefield is going to be. Mr. Masad Boulos. So I will, and the Congressman will convey your view, your endorsement, your support through him to President Trump. And I would like to also, before I start, but very quickly, thank another leader among us who is here, who is a member of Congress, who has been a shining flag in the fight for public service in America for many, many, many years, who has been one of the most knowledgeable lawmakers in the issue of the Middle East, in foreign affairs, in national security, but on all other domestic matters. Congressman Issa, who is with us with his charming wife. Please, thank you. And I'm looking forward to listening to him. I would like also to mention that in addition to the community, I'm very happy to acknowledge that probably for the first time we have an Afghan event with the participation of leaders of other communities from the Middle East. This is a first. We've done it in Michigan, right? And in Virginia, where you started, and now here with the Afghan community. I'm proud, and I think this should go national. That the Afghan community, with the presence of, you're gonna see then the other representatives from Egypt, Syria, Iraq, Iran, and other places, South Yemen and Sudan are among us. This is one of the largest coalitions that President Trump and his team have been able to be successful in bringing together. While on the other side, we see those coalitions faltering and collapsing. We see on the side of Trump and the conservative movement, the Republican movement, but also some people on the left of the center. I'm thinking of Kennedy, Robert Kennedy. He's not coming from the right. So there is a very vast coalition happening nationwide. And in the Middle Eastern ranks, we have that coalition also forming. I do believe that with the numbers that we see, I am not an expert on that, we have a majority of the numbers of Americans. Now, what is important, the challenge, and I'm not a domestic politics expert at all, I think if we have a wave hitting the boxes, the ballot boxes, there will be a win next week. Having said that, quickly to replenish my second minute is the following. This meeting today represents basically what the foreign policy of President Trump would be once elected. First, to be loyal to our friends and allies. And I'm saying it here at this podium, with the presence of a lawmaker, with the presence of many NGOs leaders, that one of the terrible things that happened in the last administration, which is still here till next Tuesday, is that we have not been loyal to our allies. And what community can testify other than the Afghan community? But also the Egyptians, but also the Lebanese, the Iraqis, the Kurds, also represented here. Loyalty is very important in life. If you want to have allies, you have to be loyal to the allies. And it's a mutual two-way street. Our allies are loyal to us, we're loyal to them. Second, clarity. Clarity meaning we know exactly who's the enemy and who's the friend. There is no confusion. We're going in one direction, which is to empower those societies which identify with our values. It's very normal. And I taught 20 years of political science. This is the basic, is a common political culture and values. And thirdly, which is crucial, and that's what we're doing here, is to inform, educate our own public. I've been a professor for many years. One of the disasters that we have encountered is the collapse of our academia. Everything starts in the classroom. This is where that movement that we saw last year of hundreds of thousands of pro-Hamas, pro-jihadists, pro-everything you could imagine on our campuses. 350,000 have been part of the... How can that happen? Because whatever you throw in the classroom is going to get to the newsroom, right? They graduate. They will be on CNN. They will be on, writing at the Washington Post. And from there to the courtroom. And from there to the art room, Hollywood. And from there to the defense room. So I hope, one of my hopes, is that the next administration will have enough strength, and it will, if it's Donald Trump, to make sure that the first reform should start in our classrooms. And then we can recognize who's the friend, who's the ally. I cannot even fathom how you and your society have looked at those decisions in 2021. Our allies, the Afghan army, how can we abandon them? How can we abandon the Afghan people? And that is still half of the problem. And replace them with the Taliban? Replace them with jihadists? Are they crazy, or there are more troublesome political issues behind it? I won't discuss it now. I am very happy to be with you, with part of our leadership. And don't forget to vote, and vote strongly. Vote early if you can. I did already. But let's give it a chance for this nation to have a president who could lead it to peace, security. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank Thank you, Dr. Walid. Very impactful and wonderful words. Your expertise on foreign policy, especially in the Middle East, is highly admirable. Thanks. Our next speaker is my good friend, Lieutenant General Sami Sadat. Of course, he's the chairman of the Afghanistan United Front and a former commanding general of the Afghan National Special Operations Force. His leadership during the final months of the Afghan Republic and his efforts to free prisoners from Taliban control have made him a significant figure in the ongoing opposition to the Taliban. And since the fall of Kabul in 2021, he has worked tirelessly, not only in the United States, but also in Europe and so many other places, to ensure that he mobilizes and continue to push back against the Taliban. Hopefully, it's going to translate to military means. Thank you, General. Please.
Appreciate it for those done. I'm honored to be here, and Congressman Issa, Dr. Walid, Commander Muramarang, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for coming. This is a great opportunity for all of us to reflect on what's happening in the world and how we can work together to solve some of that, or at least prevent this from getting any further. I'm going to start from President Biden's Go to Zero order when in April of 2021, as he ordered the American troops to leave, and then he forced our president to resign in the middle of this vicious war, cutting off all our ammunition and support system. Our country collapsed. Afghanistan became a terrorist superstate, unfortunately, under the Taliban. There's three major fallouts from this collapse. The first is return of international terrorism. We saw very quickly al-Zawahiri was killed in Kabul a year later. Today, as we speak, Congressman, there's 50,000 foreign fighters working under the umbrella of Al-Qaeda. They're trained by Taliban, they're housed by Taliban, they're equipped by Taliban, and they're being directed by Taliban. From Africa to Middle East to Iran and Central Asia, every single Sunni terrorist groups have now pledged their allegiance to Mullah Haibatullah, the leader of Taliban, making him one of the most significant terror leader in today's era. I have never read in history that someone so significant and so powerful, being a terrorist, has left and has continued to live and expand his ideas. The second matter is a humanitarian catastrophe. 8 million Afghans left Afghanistan. Only 8 million Ukrainians left because of the war with Russia. 16 million Afghans are living in hunger. 6 million children are being threatened to be malnutrition. And Afghans continue to be hunted, arrested, tortured, and killed on a daily basis. And they're posting the videos online, you can see it. When it comes to men and women, especially the women have been the main target of the Taliban's restrictions and sanctions. A woman in Afghanistan is not allowed to go to school, is not allowed to go outside work, is not allowed to travel, is not allowed to go to the market and buy groceries if she does not have a male chaperone. And a male chaperone should be one of the immediate family members. This is unacceptable and this is unbelievable. Sometimes I think this is like a comical movie, except this is true. The third one is really the loot of the Afghan minerals. As you know, Congressman, Afghanistan is one of the richest countries when it comes to the minerals. We have the second biggest iron ore deposit in the world. We have the second biggest copper deposit in the world. We have the largest gold deposits in entire Asia. We have oil and gas that maybe more than Qatar has oil and gas. We have lithium and uranium. The lithium, the iron ore, the gas and oil, most of that is being contracted to China, making China one of the biggest contractors with the Taliban having been signed $20 billion worth of contracts with the Taliban. Iron ore in western Afghanistan and the uranium in Helmand are being signed with Iran. As you know, Iran is robustly trying to extract more uranium. Previously, they were buying from Kazakhstan, but I think now they cannot buy it from Kazakhstan, so they're trying to get it from Afghanistan. A nuclear Iran and a more advanced defense, in terms of defense technology, more advanced China, both of them are using that to come against the United States. So there is a direct correlation of what's happening in Afghanistan. The terrorism that's being trained and brewed in Afghanistan, they have one single enemy, it's the United States of America. They took our nation, and now they will not stop, they will come here. The disengagement in Afghanistan globally from the United States side was seen as a weakness. And you can see that it's also been seen as a decline of the United States superiority, power and influence across the world. So Russia and China are taking great advantage of that in terms of pursuing their military adventurism into the South China Sea as well as into Ukraine. All of this is a man-made disaster. This is a Biden-made disaster. This was absolutely avoidable. We were winning from the Taliban if it was not for this direct disengagement. The Taliban would have never been able to overpower Afghan military and US military in one single province if it was not for the political failure. Yes, our leaders have politically failed as well. We had a divided house in terms of our president and our CEO. But the biggest trouble, the biggest blow was delivered to the Afghan military and the US military from the White House, sir. If it was not coming from the White House, nobody else could defeat the Afghan and the US military. President Biden also proved the proverb we have all heard that weak man creates hard times. I think this is now prevalent. Everybody knows how the world has changed with a very weak leadership of President Biden. We have been betrayed. Many other Muslim nations and non-Muslim nations sees the case of Afghanistan as a decision point, whether to go back with America in partnership or choose Russia and China as they robustly try to engage in these nations. Afghans are capable people. They're reliable partners for 20 years. Anybody who served with us on the battlefield will testify that. And we're willing to partner again. And this will create the hope for many other nations in that part of the world, in Africa and Middle East, to trust the United States and to work with the United States. I believe that our chance with a new partnership, with a strong presence, with stability and peace in our countries, but also stability and peace in America, with a powerful economy, is President Trump, because President Trump is a decisive man. One of the things that I will tell my American friends is that nobody will bully the United States if President Trump is the president. Nobody will take President Biden serious. You have seen it. Nobody will take Kamala Harris serious from the outside perspective. We believe that only President Trump can end unnecessary wars. The war in Gaza, one of the things, Congressman Issa, that we will ask you to please, should you win, God willing, you will win, is that we're asking you to end the war in Gaza with President Trump. The Palestinian people have suffered enough. We need peace in the Middle East. We also need security for every nation in the Middle East. We're pretty sure that only President Trump can end the war in Ukraine. And we will also ask you to convey our message that we are supporting President Trump in South Central Asia. We're supporting your policy. We stand ready to partner with you again. Afghanistan is the heart of Asia. Afghanistan is one of the most significant countries in this world. The power and the influence of Afghans on the regional countries in Middle East, Central Asia, South Asia, and the West Asia cannot be cleared. I cannot tell you how important it is. So we want the Americans to help us to free our country again. We're not asking the United States soldiers to come back. We are more than capable to fight for our country ourselves. But we need political and material support, because this administration has been doing every single thing to sanction the Afghan groups not to be able to mobilize and prepare for going after the Taliban. We want to go back and free our country. And in this, we're not asking permission from anyone. But as ally of the United States, we want to ask you for help. When 9/11 happened, America was at its most significant point, and the Americans came to us. We helped the Americans. We went to war with every single anti-American groups. So I want to ask not only Afghans, but all the Muslims, all the veterans, and all the military serving personnel to vote for a decisive man, for a man who can make decisions and who can reverse some of the losses that the Americans and the American allies have sustained across the world. I would ask you to vote for President Trump. He's our chance to get justice back in Afghanistan. He's our chance to free our country from tyranny and defeat international terrorism. Here in Afghanistan United Front, we're working day and night to prepare our men and our women to go back and fight for a free Afghanistan. A free Afghanistan is good for the world, it's good for America, and it will isolate the American enemies, including Iran and China, who are greatly benefiting from the vacuum, and they're using terrorism against the Americans. I wish you all the best, sir, as you continue to do the campaign, and hopefully next week we can celebrate the victory for President Trump.
Thank you. Very touching and moving words. So the message is clear here, that the Afghan American community has endorsed President Trump. The election is almost here, in about a week. You know who to vote for. Next, among the audience, we also have other Middle Eastern representatives that they want to also raise their support for President Trump. So I'm going to ask Dr. Walid to come and introduce.
Thank you so much. General, would you please come close to me? From Iraq, please. From Syria, we have two representatives. From Egypt. There's a lady from Egypt. Yeah. تعال. Thank you. Did we forget anybody from the region? Oh, from Yemen. Yes, from Yemen. Please. Here. That's fine. We're good. So my role is very simple. I'm going to ask each one of these representatives to grab the microphone, come here, grab the microphone, take pictures, and then make a statement about the campaign of President Trump and what you want from the next administration to achieve. And at the end, I'm going to ask the Congressman just to come for one thing, take a picture with all of you. Please identify yourself.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ayman Noor. I'm originally from Syria, and I represent many organizations that represent the interests of the Syrian American community here in the West. Due to proven policies of President Trump in his first term, domestically and in the foreign, we believe that it will bring prosperity for USA and peace in the Middle East and in the world. This is why we endorse Donald J. Trump for president.
Second representative from Syria.
Thank you, Dr. Walid. Assalamu alaikum. I'm really thrilled to be with you, with the Afghani community here. And we have a lot in common in Syria and with you. We have values in common. My name is Sami Sadat, and I represent Syriac Christian groups. This is an ethnic minority in Syria. So I am a voice for them, but I'm also an American citizen. And I can tell you, I have been in contact with many in our communities in Detroit recently, with the Syriacs, with the Assyrians, with the Chaldeans, and they all believe that the only way to have peace in the Middle East is through strength. And this is only can happen with the leadership of President Trump. So whether it is the common values that we share with the Republican Party or the vision and the wisdom of the policies, foreign policies of President Trump, we think that this is the way forward for the United States. Thank you.
And from the neighboring country of Iraq, representing the Arab and Kurdish minority communities and the minorities as well. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Intifat Kambar. I'm an Iraqi American. I was political prisoner in Iraq during Saddam, and I worked towards liberating my country in 2003. I tell you this trick, worked with every Middle Eastern Muslim American to change his heart towards President Trump. If you want to keep more money in your pocket, vote for President Trump. If you want to keep hormone blockers from your kids, vote for President Trump. And if you want a peace in the Middle East, vote for President Trump. So I also would like to convey to you the wishes and the support of the Kurdish community. I work with the government of Kurdistan. Prime Minister Masroor Barzani is a personal friend of mine. I also would like to use this opportunity to call for a two-state solution. This time, Kurdistan, Iraq, and Iraq. My name is Intifat Kambar. Support President Trump and endorse him 1,000%.
And from the farthest point in the Middle East, other than Afghanistan, I would like to invite representatives of South Yemen. Please come to the podium.
Of Yemen.
Sure.
All Yemen.
All Yemen, but he's from
Yes, Assalamu alaikum again. It's my great pleasure and honor to be here participating with you in this wonderful event with His Excellency Honorable Issa, Darrell, Congressman, and also everybody here. I'm born in Aden, South Yemen. I would like to let everybody know that the American Southern Yemeni communities in many states has endorsed President Trump for presidency. And we would like to see a change in the policy in the Middle East, especially when it comes to fighting terrorism. We have been suffering a lot from Al-Qaeda, same like our friends here in Afghanistan as well. And also, I would like to say that the Biden administration has really, dropped the ball, not only with you, Ghani, but also with Yemenis, when they removed the Houthis from being in the FTO list, this foreign terrorist organization, which President Trump previous administration has put them there. We would like to see a change in the policy. We would like to see peace in the Middle East. And also, I would like to express my gratitude and honor to say thank you to the Honorable Congressman for proposing a new resolution in the House of Representatives. That's H.R. 9564, which says that, or titled, the Houthis Human Rights Accountability Act. It means that for the first time we're going to really check the Houthis, and I hope that the Congress will approve this proposal. We are with you, support you, and we would like to thank you very much for that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now let's move across the Red Sea to Egypt. You have 2 minutes to represent 100 million people. More, sorry.
It's a dictatorship, we'll do it in a second. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Dr. Phares. Thank you, Congressman Issa. Thank you to all my friends. I'm Cynthia Farhat. I'm Egyptian American. I'm the author of the book, The Secret Apparatus, the Muslim Brotherhood's Industry of Death. Unfortunately, I foresaw what happened with the shameful, disgraceful, and criminally negligent evacuation of Afghanistan and its repercussions. And I do not think we would have had October 7th without this shameful evacuation. I can't be more honored or proud to be with you all here tonight. Today, this is a historic day. This is the party of diversity. This is the party of inclusion. Look at us. We come from all parts of the universe, but we unify under the banners of freedom, dignity, and peace for all. And this is the message that President Trump conveyed with utter strength and integrity. President Trump is the continuation of the founding father. He reminds me of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison. President Trump negotiated, but he never surrendered. He reminds me of the words of James Madison when he was told to pay the jizya tax to the Khedive of Tripoli. James Madison said, the United States, while they wish for war with no nation, will buy peace with none. President Trump did not pay for peace. It is looked at surrender. President Trump, when he was in office, there was world peace terrorists would think 1,000,000 times before firing a bullet. And that is why President Trump is the president of peace. And that is why I am honored to endorse him, and I completely support him. I am originally from Egypt, but I have pledged allegiance to one flag, and that is of the United States of America. And fight, fight, fight.
No one can beat an Egyptian woman.
No, not even the Egyptians.
No one can beat any woman.
Right. Our last endorser is from Sudan. We have worked together for many, many years from East Sudan. He's American as well, represent that community. So can you please come for just 2 minutes, because your speeches in Sudan are very important.
Hello everybody. My name is Ibrahim Ahmed. I'm from Sudan, and I've been working with Dr. Phares for more than 15 or 17 years, and I have the honor to work with him in the first campaign for the first Trump terms, and we're still working, and we will not give up. If you ask me why I support Trump, first, I'm from Sudan, and during Trump's first term, it was a historical moment when the dictatorship, the Islamist dictatorship of Sudan, people forced him to surrender after 30 years of dictatorship. So it was a historical moment for the Sudanese people to remove the dictatorship. On the other side, during Biden time, right now, more than 25 Sudanese civilians displaced all over the country, in Egypt, in Ethiopia, Kenya, and all over. So
25
25 million.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so even the capital, Khartoum, is no more capital. So the life of the Sudanese is completely, missed by Biden policy regarding Africa generally. The other point is we have to work hard in order to elect President Trump, because this is the only solution, if and only if. Even for us as Americans, our life here in America is not like before. Inflation, unemployment, all those economic indicators, it is completely proved that President Trump, he is the right person to solve all those problems. In addition to if you observe historically any Democrat term, Obama term, Syria, Libya. Biden term, Ukraine, all over the Middle East. So, Democrats means war, means blood, means destruction of America. Thank you so much. Yeah, I endorse President Trump. I say President Trump.
I would like now to invite you for the pictures. And we see you on the side. If you want to take pictures or video, this is an impressive moment. Member of Congress, member of Foreign Policy, Committee on Foreign Policy.
What's the Lebanese in the crowd?
Oh, we forgot to mention that we both are from Lebanese ancestry. He's more from ancestry than I am in him.
Lebanese control Africa, control South America. The only country they don't control is Lebanon.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, everybody. So please go back to the seats. And then back to the wonderful MC.
Wow, that was so powerful. Please give another hand. If President Trump is watching tonight, I know he's active on social media. The entire Middle East just endorsed you, so that's a great deal. Last but not least, it's time, the most exciting part of our event. We can invite Congressman Darrell, our keynote speaker. Congressman Darrell represents California's 48th district and is a senior member of the House Judiciary as well as the Foreign Affairs Committees. Throughout this career, he has been a strong advocate for national security, government transparency, as well as accountability. Since the fall of Kabul in 2021, he has helped many Afghan families of our Afghan allies with the resettlement and evacuation process. The Afghan American community is so grateful for you. You are honored to act. Please.
Nobody said 2 minutes, so this could be a little longer. You know, in the introduction, my name was pronounced Issa, and so on, which always causes me to, and by the way, my cousin Bassam would love to be here, along with my cousin Issa. And they are Issas, because before my grandfather and my grandmother immigrated here, of course, you know, my grandfather was Daha Swahabi Issa, very proudly. But then he got to Ellis Island, and like so many of us and our families, he wanted to be just a little bit more American. Now, when he died in his late 70s, he still had an accent thicker than Henry Kissinger. But he did transition himself from Daha Swahabi Issa to Big Dave Issa, the liquor salesman. And for my Chaldean friends, that still resonates. The fact is, we're here tonight, all of us, as Americans. But we're here as Americans that understand that this lifeboat that we all got into, this haven of care after adversity in our own countries, whether it was recently or long ago, America has been there. And when the discussion earlier got into Washington and Jefferson and Madison, and of course the decision of a young country not even 20 years old to take on the Tripoli pirates and to rid them from the sea at a time when we didn't even have a navy, at a time in which we weren't 1 million people, and we weren't one of the great powers of the world. They were all in Europe. But America has always been different. As a country of immigrants, a country that proudly says from many we become one, we have not forgotten that we came from many. And as strong as America has become, it has always become stronger at looking around the world to help those who are not yet in our lifeboat have an opportunity to live prosperously and safely and peacefully in their countries, so they need not come to this small piece of the world. We're not even 20% of the world's land. There are 8 billion peoples in the world. 8 billion. More than 120 million, of course, are in Egypt. We know that. The vast majority of people live in poverty, and the vast majority strive for what we already have. President Trump understood all of that as a global businessman, and he understood that making America great, a line, quite frankly, lifted from President Ronald Reagan, proudly, and I think Reagan lifted it from somebody else. But it is the right motto, because only through the greatness of America can we help the rest of the world. Only through our bringing the values of the many, virtually of the all, bringing them together in a way that we can all live together, can we show the world that they can live together. And yes, we come from a region that has had trauma. I come from a place where, quite candidly, bombs are dropping as we speak. And by the way, rockets are being launched, paid for by Iran and China, into Israel. That's happening as we speak. That wouldn't have happened if President Trump were just finishing his second term. It wouldn't happen on the watch of anyone who believes in peace through strength. Quite frankly, it might not have happened if we'd had a leader who simply could have understood what was going on around him. And that was intended to be only slightly funny. And yet, the party of the Democrats, the party who assumes leadership over all of us as immigrants, hid a president who could not lead our country. Their nominee, Kamala Harris, is in fact the chief hider of his infirmity, striving to tell us all how great he was, telling us that she was the last one in the room on the decision to withdraw from Afghanistan, telling us that she's been a leader in national defense and a member of the national defense team her entire 4 years in the White House. She takes that with pride. I take that as the ultimate conviction of why she cannot be allowed to lead our country or to claim to lead our country for the next 4 years. And as was said by Dr. Phares, Walid said it very well. I'm just a substitute for a really great man that I've had the honor of touring around the country, in Texas, in Michigan, many, many times, and here in New York. The fact is that the president's personal family is now wedded to the Middle East, acutely aware of a family that left Lebanon for business and went to Africa. Masad Boulos isn't just a person who is an American citizen who got his education in Houston. He's a man who has roots both in Lebanon and throughout Africa, who understands that we are losing the hearts and minds and the resources that are being taken by a successful China that is not looking out for you and your countries, but only for their own reach of power. So I will tell you something here tonight. We elect President Trump again, as I like to say, give him his second term. If we do that, and I believe we will have 4 years of listening in the White House on the issues that we all talk about here, that we all know exist. But more importantly, we talked about our founding fathers who gave us the Federalist Papers, who gave us a direction. But if we become Republicans, as we all here, I believe, have become, we've bought into the party that was a movement in the 1850s. It was a movement that gave us Abraham Lincoln. And although he, like President Trump, was the victim of repeated attempts of assassination, and finally they did kill President Lincoln, they could not kill the movement for suffrage, the movement for freedom, and the movement for people who believe that we don't start wars, but we empower people to be free. That's the gift that our founding fathers bestowed on us by telling us that our rights come from God, and that we give to our government only that which we choose to give to them. And they cannot be allowed to take that which is given to us by God without our permission. So for all of us, the party that we belong in is the party that knows where our rights come from and what our government is legitimately allowed to do, which is to serve the people. So I'm a proud supporter of President Trump. I left Congress for 2 years to work for him. My wife, Rebecca, worked for the Secretary of Commerce for that time and longer. We believe in the movement that will not end at the end of Trump's second term, but will go on and help all of our peoples over time. God bless.
That was so powerful. Thank you. Truly inspiring. Thank you for your leadership as well as your service. The Afghan American community and the entire Middle East is very proud of you. Please give it another hand. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have heard insightful perspectives on the challenges and opportunities facing Afghanistan and the United States. We have been reminded of the sacrifices made by the Afghan and U.S. armed forces and the importance of strong leadership and partnerships in securing freedom and peace for future generations. As General Sadat and other fellow speakers eloquently expressed, the collapse of Afghanistan after the U.S. withdrawal has had devastating consequences, not just for Afghanistan, but also for global security. It was about America's credibility and commitment. Our image was tarnished, our adversaries were emboldened. The return of terrorism, the humanitarian crisis, and also the regional malign influence that we talked about have all been tragic results of weak leadership. We must now take action to correct these wrongs. As we look toward upcoming elections, I urge you all to think carefully about the future we want to shape. One where our values are preserved, our allies are supported, and America reclaims its leadership on the global stage again. The fate of Afghanistan and the security of the United States are intertwined, and this election is an opportunity to make sure that both nations are on the path to a better future. Before we conclude, I would like to invite you all to join us for an Afghan dinner. Dr. Phares already spoiled the secret that how the cook is coming from London all the way, so he has prepared the dinner. Let's continue this conversation over a meal, and I hope that together we can strengthen our resolve for the future. Do not forget to vote. God bless you, and God bless America.